So it's been, I want to say, like at least a month since Lil Uzi Vert dropped his last project, Pink Tape, which was allegedly experimental, and it had a lot of different rock and rave, different genres on there. However, it was promoted as a full-fledged album. So I think it's enough time to gauge if it's really sticking in the media. And I understand that Travis Scott just dropped his project among other people who are rolling out theirs, but I just don't know if I see this whole Pink Tape effect like a lot of these Uzi fans were expecting it to have. In fact, I feel like it had a much more opposite effect in that maybe we shouldn't experiment that hard, because then you're completely going outside of your entire fan base of rap listeners. Now, if you love Uzi, I completely understand that. You're gonna listen to whatever he makes, right? And I appreciate him for trying, but honestly, it just was not very good rock music in general. And so with that being said, I thought it'd be a great time to analyze why exactly no one appreciates Lil Uzi Vert's music anymore, because the past couple of years he's been getting a lot of hate. In fact, I'd say the main bandwagon is against him. I think it's because of the such high highs that he had in 2016 through say 2018, even with Eternal Atake selling upwards of 300,000 copies first week. So of course, America, or just this social media in general, loves watching heroes fall. Not sure why, but I guess it's just human nature, because I guess people are jealous, or the once underground rapper, SoundCloud artist who was a pioneer for a new sound isn't necessarily pioneering a sound anymore. It kind of sounds pretty controlled, or he doesn't sound as free anymore in his new music. Like, it does sound watered down, like more mainstream, at least the music that he releases, that is. So that leads me to the main point of this video, actually 3 main points as to why just in general people don't like Uzi. Disclaimer, I still like Uzi. I'm still gonna check out all of his new music, and I'm sure y'all are too if you're watching this video, but you definitely see the clues around you that people say he's past his peak, and while they may or may not be true depending on your own opinion, objectively people just don't want him to win, or his music just doesn't have the same longevity that it once had. And I think that there are obvious reasons, such as like it just might not be as good. But other than the obvious, number 1, snippets. It seems as though like every single album he previews so many different songs. I know a lot of underground rappers do this, like Ken Carson's kind of following in the same trap as well, where there are so many snippets out that even if you do drop like the most popular snippets, like the top 15 viewed on SoundCloud or YouTube, wherever they're reposted, like if you're previewing too much, there are gonna be fans who like particular songs that you didn't put on the track list, and because you did not appease them, they're gonna hate and say, oh, this album's mid because he didn't pick the right songs or whatever. In fact, there was a tweet that I just saw on the Uzi subreddit that I thought actually had a good point. I'm so sad nobody will ever acknowledge Lil Uzi as one of the best rappers just because he doesn't know what the fuck to drop. I feel like he does have a lot of leaks. I mean, shit, Eternal Atake, he even said himself in an interview, basically the album was mid, and that the reason that it was mid is because he rushed it because of all the leaks that apparently he could not release himself. Although I feel like it's more of a ego thing of sorts, where like the fans kind of ruined a rollout, so you're gonna punish them in a way, even if those songs are literally 10 out of 10. So to this day, I still will never understand why artists do not drop popular leaks like it's easy bread. But I guess Uzi more recently has learned his lesson with, of course, and Zoom that were on Pink Tape, as well as dropping Watch This, Plug and Be Remix, and there are probably some others that I'm missing. But regardless, this tweet that I showed y'all earlier, when an artist previews too many snippets, you literally cannot choose the exact perfect ones, and it probably confuses you because of all the comments where people are telling you, no, we want this Uzi or that Uzi, and it's like, you're the fucking artist, bro. Listen to yourself. Honestly, these commenters might even be NPCs that we live in a simulation, not even real people, and you're listening to them. Like, I cannot describe how many master engineers we have in Reddit thinking that they can engineer songs better with like the bass boosted just from hearing a 3-second snippet on IG Live. But not only that, when you preview too many snippets also, it kind of ruins the entire album rollout experience. When you're going to a movie, it's cool to see one trailer to see if you're even gonna like the whole concept of this film. However, if you watch like 1,000 trailers, at a certain point, you already watched the entire movie and you don't even want to listen to it because it's just not exciting anymore. It's overplayed. And when the album finally comes out, then all these fans start calling it mid. Meanwhile, literally months before, they were saying that the one snippet was literally the greatest song he had ever created. And that's not necessarily their fault. I think it's the artist's fault. In my opinion, I think there should be almost like an illusion of the creative process that the artists are doing themselves with the producers, the engineers, everybody involved. Because when you show too much behind the scenes, it almost makes these godlike figures that we call rappers more human, which is less likely to have a strong fandom over. Because not only do you hear all the songs that are throwaways, not necessarily that good of quality, they're not even making the project. First of all, I don't even understand why artists preview those songs. If they're not even gonna be on the project, why would you show someone something that's not representative of the project they're releasing? But also, you're supposed to make the songs look more complex than they really are. Like, oh shit, how did he do that? If a magician told you exactly how he was, pickpocketing someone or making a pigeon disappear, are you really gonna go to their magic show again? I mean, for example, and I don't want to keep always bringing up Cardi, but let's say even Travis Scott with Utopia, we really knew nothing about what was going on in that project other than that dumbass fucking suitcase. And so when that project released, it was a breath of fresh air because we had essentially no idea what we were about to listen to. Now, there were snippets or leaked songs on the project, I'm not entirely sure, but some of them were really old, so nobody even expected those, which again surprised the fans. Now Cardi, we literally have no idea what he's doing. Is he even recording music? And therefore fans are excited to whatever he releases. Even if he drops an OnlyFans tape, I'm sure that would go off, I'm not gonna lie, especially if it was with Iggy. But that's enough of that point. So number two, and I honestly think this might be the strongest reason, is he moves on so quickly from one project to the other. It's almost like he just wants to finally drop the music so he can get rid of all of the pressure of picking the songs incorrectly or even correctly. It's almost like he's done with the entire idea. Or when you finish an essay, you don't even want to proofread or anything, you just want to give it to the teacher because you're like, I'm so over this. When you're working on any concept for a long period of time, like say Uzi with 2-3 years, it probably gets old, especially with maybe not as strong concepts such as Pink Tape, which is just literally a color. And so I think we all know what Uzi did after each of these projects. Eternal Take, a week later he drops Lil Uzi Vert vs. the World 2. Now it was technically a deluxe, but it was almost like a, oh, I didn't make what you guys wanted, let me drop a whole tape of all the grails and snippets and leaks that y'all really wanted, because it felt like he wasn't proud of the music he released, even though Eternal Take was actually solid. He then declined to go on tour, and I understand that it was 2020, so you couldn't really do that because we were in the middle of the pandemic. However, he could have rode out this Eternal Take theme with aliens for another 2-3 years like some of his peers, such as, again, Cardi with the whole vampire thing. He went on King Vamp tour. He's doing Narcissist, which almost is kind of related to that. Another example is The Weeknd, where he had the whole plastic surgery, 80s disco pop singer type look. Even Tyler the Creator, who for a while was putting on wigs for every single performance on his tour after Eagle. So I think the sauce to actually make fans like your project is for you to actually carry through the theme for another year or two after you drop it. It seems so obvious because of course you want to continue promoting your project afterwards, but I feel like what Uzi does, and it is one of his greatest strengths, is creates a huge rollout for the project, but once that shit releases, he's gone after a week onto the next project. So we mentioned Eternal Take to Lil Uzi Vert vs. the World 2. Now with Pink Tape, like literally a week later or very soon after, he's on to Barter 16. So again, it just makes it look like he's not so confident in his releases anyway. He made this whole Gibson Hazard trailer fighting a demon and elaborate content to roll out the project, and it had a lot of potential for him to go on a tour, and he is, but I don't know, he already started dressing and looking like Young Thug, rapping like him, so you almost can't even bask in the glory of a project, if it had any, that is, because you already are starting to look forward to the next one. And it's kind of counterintuitive because I understand building up hype for a project. However, you can't even really monetize from building up the hype prior to it, as in people are listening to snippets, but technically you're not getting any royalties from it. So if you were to keep your fans in the dark for the whole entire rollout prior, release the project, and then for the next 1 to 2 years have this whole persona planned out for the Pink Tape or whatever project it is, they're streaming the songs the entire time, meanwhile going to all your shows because they want to see what outfit you're wearing in this persona. It's just not smart to move on to the next project so quickly because it completely defuses all of the hype that you built up in the first place over a year-long, 2-year-long span. And finally, the last main reason as to why nobody cares about Lil Uzi Vert's music anymore is that he is too accessible to the public. We've already discussed this so many times. It's similar to the whole snippet concept that we talked about earlier, in that when you're seen out in the public too many times posting pictures with fans and everything, it ruins the illusion behind the rollout. What you're preparing to look like, or people asking you little questions, you give them little tidbits of information. You once again become less celebrity-like, where at one point, every single piece of information for Eternal Atake, fans were literally salivating on their knees for. Whereas now, when you hear like a new feature or something that's extra spicy about the project, less people care. It's like a chick at school or at work, whatever age you are, if she's smashing every dude in sight, all your friends, are you really that curious to hit once? You might be curious to know what STD she has, but if she's all too common and not rare, like a nice fine piece of Wagyu steak, you don't really care. However, the Verheen, you want to know what's inside them panties because nobody else knows what's inside. But I think y'all get the point already. You might disagree with everything I said and think that Lil Uzi Vert is still on top, but I think the sales are already showing themselves, which I understand the sales aren't everything. Quality of the music still, though, might not be his top notch. So I think there's an argument to be made in both cases. But typically speaking, sales do equate to how many people actually care about Uzi's new music, and it seems to have decreased from the Eternal Atake times, and so something is definitely up. But with all that being said, it's been your boy Bobbalam signing off, heading over to Philly to kidnap Uzi and rough him up a little bit so we can knock some sense into him, because maybe we can change the previous facts that we've discussed. Let me know in the comments if you think I'm spitting facts or you think that his career is still on the up and up. Of course, make sure to like and subscribe to the Bob Gang if you with it. Peace out, people. 19.